governor, so I may get the most attention. But at the end of the day, if you really want the state to be solidified for a generation, you got to build a farm team. You got to be involved in all these races. You got to have people fighting for kids at the school board. We can't do it all at the state. So we were able to do that. And now the result has been we took that swing state that was always 1 point in either direction, and we've turned it into a red state. When I got elected, there were almost 300,000 more registered Democrats in the state of Florida than Republicans, and we had never, in Florida history, had more registered Republicans than Democrats. Well, fast forward today, we now have 448,000 more registered Republicans than Democrats. No one's ever seen anything like that. And what that represents is a massive defeat for the left. It's been a massive defeat for the Democratic Party. They did not want to see Florida go red. They threw everything but the kitchen sink to stop us, and yet we have left the Democratic Party for dead in the state of Florida. I bring this up, and yes, I think some of you got the book. If you didn't, please, hopefully you'll get it. Every week I'm on the New York Times bestseller list. They don't like that, so you can help me with that. But the lesson that we talk about in the book, and I think we showed in Florida, is that voters reward bold leadership. If you're somebody that goes out there and they know where you stand and you're very clear about what you want to accomplish and you deliver results, people are going to have your back. And you saw some of the stuff on the videos where we had to stand up for people a lot over the past 4 years. But President Reagan was right when he said, we need to be choosing bold colors, not pale pastels. And when you stand and you have very clear ideas and you're able to harness those ideas to policy, you respond in an election like we had. But it wasn't just the election that people have voted to vindicate what we've done in Florida. People have been voting with their feet. And if you look at what's happened over particularly these last 3 or 4 years, we've seen a great exodus out of states governed by leftist politicians pursuing leftist ideology. And those places, people are moving more than any other state in the country to the free state of Florida. We've served as the promised land for Americans who've been disenchanted with left-wing government. And I see it in Florida. Every time I go out, someone will come up to me. They leave Chicago, New York. Unfortunately, a lot of people have left southeastern Philadelphia. I see people that have left Philly come to Florida all the time. So you see that, and then you see that in the results. We are the fastest growing state in America. We are the #1 state for net in-migration in America. We're #1 in new business formations. We rank #1 in education freedom. We rank #1 in parental involvement in education. We are the #1 state amongst large states for GDP growth. Of course, we have no state income tax. You all should try that sometimes. It's not bad. We have the second lowest state per capita tax burden in America and the second lowest debt per capita tax burden in America. Florida's economy is over $1 trillion and our debt is $20 billion. Can you imagine if the federal government had such a ratio? We would be in much better shape. And here's the difference between conservative governance and left-wing governance. New York State is the closest state to Florida in population, but we have now millions of more people in Florida living than New York has residents. And yet, even with us having millions more people, New York's budget is twice the size of the budget of the state of Florida. And yet we have better services, we have better infrastructure, higher performing K-12 education, and the top-ranked higher education system for public in America. So where is all this money going when they're taxing people? And not only do they have twice the budget, New York City's budget is the same size as the entire state of Florida budget on top of that. Yet where does this money go? They don't treat taxpayers with respect. They're certainly not plowing it into law enforcement because we see crime going through the roof in these places. And so good governance matters. Florida's built for the long haul. Not only do we not have an income tax, we would have no need to have taxes go up because our fiscal is in such great shape. In fact, we have the largest budget surplus in the history of the state of Florida, over $22 billion last year out of a budget of $109 billion. So that's a big deal. We're proud of that. Now, when you come into office, you don't know what's going to be thrown your way. And there's certain things as governor I get in Florida. Yeah, we think we may have to deal with a hurricane every now and then. That's just part of growing up down there, and that's just part of our lifestyle. We get it. But you go back 4 years, people were not talking about that you'd have a pandemic. I mean, obviously, that'd be something that's possible, but no one was thinking that would be something that was likely. And I'm just proud that when the world lost its mind, when common sense suddenly became an uncommon virtue, that the state of Florida stood as a refuge of sanity, a citadel of freedom for people all over this country and across the world. We refuse to let our state descend into some type of Faucian dystopia where people's livelihoods were destroyed and their freedoms were curtailed. No, we chose freedom over Fauciism. We were not supported in making those decisions at the time by the bureaucracy, by experts, by the media, by the left. I even had a lot of Republicans, that were attacking me if you go back 2020, particularly in the summer. And I had a lot of supporters who are like, man, you are getting hammered by the media. They're killing you with all this stuff. You got to just do something to get them off your back, impose a restriction here, do a mandate, close this, close that. And, at the end of the day, my job as governor is to care more about the jobs of the people that I represent than to worry about my own job. And I didn't know how it would shake out. I didn't know politically whether I would be long for the world or not, but I just said as a leader, I've got to just be able to look in that mirror and be satisfied that I'm putting service over self and that I'm making decisions that are the best interests of the state, not trying to protect my own political hide. And so we went through a lot of rough political terrain over those weeks and months, but I'll tell you, we've come out on the other side and people look back and they will say, Florida got it right. We wish we were in Florida during this time. And in fact, not only did Florida get it right, these experts like Fauci got it wrong.